Hello everyone, hello and welcome to Sidereal Insights. Every 2 weeks here on the broadcast we explore the astrology of the current planetary transits across the heavens from a Western sidereal perspective. And I apologize, we're starting a little bit late today, so thank you for bearing with me. I had some new tech to set up and just kind of running a little bit behind schedule this morning. I don't know about y'all, but I get insomnia sometimes, and that can throw off the whole next day. And last night I just could not sleep. So bear with me. I'm going to refresh my browser so I can pull up the broadcast live in my browser in case there are questions or comments from anyone who's watching. But thank you all for joining me. So if you need to look up your sidereal sign placements, there's an online calculator that you can use for free. I'm going to copy and paste the address for that into the comments in case anyone needs to pull up their chart while we're on live. Sometimes I do talk about particular signs or points or degrees where you may want to be looking for planets or points in your own natal chart. And so it can be helpful to have that information. So let's see, I've got the broadcast pulled up. Here is your link. Oops, helps if you don't turn off your keyboard. That's not your link. Oh my goodness. Can I delete that? Let's see. Delete comment. It's easier to delete it from my phone. Hi, Jonna. It's good to see you. Glad to have you on. So when you copy and paste stuff from your keyboard, it's helpful if you've actually turned your keyboard on before you try to copy. But it's Monday, right? So y'all can forgive me. I feel like I'm a few beats behind. Anyway, there's the link to the online calculator. Hi, Kathleen. It's good to see you with us. So I'm Phaedra. Some of you who are on know me already. If you're new to the broadcast, I'm Phaedra. I'm the astrologer and artist of Mystic Physick Astrology, and I use Western sidereal astrology in my practice. And the reason why I do what I do is because I want to help you reconnect with your soul purpose and remember why you came to begin with. And so my aim with these broadcasts is really to provide guidance on how we can consciously use the energy of the transiting planets to affect our lives in a positive way. And so that's really the idea, is learning to respond to our transits rather than just react to them. We don't want to just let them happen to us, because we can leverage the energy and use it consciously and with intention. And so that's really what the broadcast is about. So thanks for watching. Please feel free to like and share the broadcast. If you know someone who might be interested in what we're going to be talking about today, you can tag them in the comments. Also follow us on Facebook, and please be sure to subscribe to the Mystic Physick YouTube channel if you have not done that. I can give you a link for that too. Ha ha ha. Now that I have my keyboard on and I can do this properly. Bang. There you go. So thanks for joining me. We did get a little bit of a late start. Today we're talking about where we're at with regard to the current sidereal transits. There's some shifting kind of going on between the last couple of weeks and the next couple of weeks. We're going to talk a little bit about the month-end new moon in Cancer that is concurrent with Mercury stationing direct. Yahoo! And we're going to talk a little bit about what you can expect from the early days of August. So first, let's kind of recap where we're at right now with current transits and with current retrogrades. So we've had a lot of the outer planets retrograde lately. That'll continue. We've got some shifting coming up as far as who's going to be retrograde and who's not going further into August. Jupiter is still retrograde in Scorpio right now. That's going to be changing very soon. Saturn and Pluto are retrograde in Sagittarius. Jupiter will be stationing direct August 11th. So that's coming up, something we're going to talk about a little bit later in the broadcast. We have Neptune retrograde in sidereal Aquarius. He went retrograde June 21st. He'll be retrograde for several months. Mercury's been retrograde since July 7th, and he's going to remain retrograde through the 31st. So just a few more days if you can hold on a little bit longer. Just know that the D's around the 31st, he'll be particularly expressive. So give them some space before planning anything important, and just, you know, let your schedule be loose around that date, okay? So Mercury's retrograde, he started out retrograde in sidereal Cancer, and on the 27th, he kind of backtracked into sidereal Gemini, and he'll be in sidereal Gemini through August 5th. And so this is kind of a window of about 10 days where you Could be seeing things that were left unfinished or need to be reworked or redone from the second half or so of June, coming up to want your attention again, to be fixed, to be straightened out or ironed out or sorted out. So be aware that that can be happening, especially with regard to Mercury backing up into Gemini. But by August 5th, he'll be ready to move back into Cancer, and he'll continue his tour of Cancer from that point on. He's spent quite a bit of time in Cancer already, and coming out of the retrograde, he'll be back in there. So don't neglect your Mercury in Cancer part of the transit, but we'll talk more about that once he moves back into Cancer, what that can look like, how you can leverage Mercury's transit of Cancer, excuse me. But in terms of retrograde planets, this is kind of why it's felt like a little slow over the last couple of months, and it might continue to feel that way a little bit for the next couple of weeks while we're wrapping up Jupiter's retrograde and while we're waiting for Mercury to kind of get back up to speed. Keeping in mind, these are the two planets that govern the mind, the analytical mind, our thinking, our communication, our higher mind, our ability to take in new information and ideas and make sense of it. And so don't expect too much of yourself or the people around you for just a little bit longer. Give everyone a little bit of a break, okay? But Jupiter's retrograde is typically an opportunity for a do-over. And we have about 2 more weeks of Jupiter's retrograde where you can be going back to Scorpio-related topics, wherever you find Scorpio in your sidereal natal chart, anything having specifically to do with that house. Where you find Scorpio in your sidereal natal chart, be taking these last couple weeks of Jupiter's retrograde as an opportunity to just kind of be readdressing anything there that may need some improvement, right? You might be able to tweak some things and kind of position yourself for full speed ahead, right? Once Jupiter returns to direct motion on August 11th. We've got Saturn retrograde. He'll be retrograde for somewhat longer. Saturn retrograde, still, we've talked about this in past broadcasts. It's an opportunity to address an unmet or outstanding commitment or obligation. Okay, so if you have anything important that you've committed to in your life, whether that's to yourself or to someone else, or if you have any unmet responsibilities, you can continue to use Saturn's time retrograde to address those things and deal with them. Pluto's retrograde is really an opportunity for kind of deep inner healing, deep transformation. And so with Pluto's retrograde in Sagittarius, just take a quick look at where Sagittarius is in your sidereal natal chart and know that that house is a prime place for plumbing your own inner depths and working through whatever baggage you're still carrying around in that house, right? Before Pluto gets ready to move on to another sign next year. Now, Neptune retrograde typically will reveal things that have been hidden or kept secret from us. So this is usually something that's already taken place, something that you've already been dealing with. If there's information you don't have or someone has been less than honest with you, Neptune retrograde can shed light on those things. Neptune began his retrograde. When did I say he began that? I gotta scroll back up and have a look. On June 21st. He's going to continue to be retrograde for quite some time. So you have some time to be watching for whatever information Neptune might bring to you. But more importantly, the way that you can use Neptune's retrograde is to kind of connect with spirit, with divine guidance, with your own inner self. You can use this as an opportunity for digging into your own unconscious beliefs and motivations and understanding really what drives you and what drives your reactions and your responses on an unconscious level. And as you can determine those things, really get to the underlying belief underneath them and ask yourself whether those beliefs are still serving you. Are they still relevant in the life that you have now? Are they relevant in the life that you want to move towards, that you want to be living? Because if they're not, with Neptune retrograde, you can kind of uncover those hidden motivations, you can learn from them, and you can set yourself up to adopt new beliefs that are more descriptive of who you are now rather than who you used to be, and more importantly, who you want to be as you go forward and what kind of life you want to have as you go forward. We're just in the last days, like I was saying, of Mercury retrograde. So be wrapping up anything that came up for your attention needing to be reworked or revised or corrected. Be wrapping those things up between now and the 31st, because then the new moon in Cancer is going to arrive, and within a couple days of that new moon, we're going to have a perfect opportunity really for starting to step into forward motion. We'll have Mercury direct, we'll have a new moon supporting us. And I know everyone is ready to really just kind of like get some things done, right? I think we're all tired of feeling like we're spinning our wheels in certain areas of life. In the last several months, and especially the last several weeks, can really have felt that way. Now, we've come through eclipse season 2, and that's something I kind of want to touch on. Even though the July eclipses are technically over, their effect will linger, and it will linger through mid-September. And so what I want to call your attention to is just paying attention to the days. Typically, they align somewhat-ish with the new moons and full moons in the months following the eclipses. Keep an eye on those days, because some of us will still be getting eclipse news. We'll still be feeling the effects of the July 2nd and July 16 eclipses in the Gemini Sagittarius series. So just continue to keep your eye open for more potential news as we move further into August and into mid-September. And then by the time we come through mid-September, the July eclipses will have played out. And I did make a video about them. It's on the website. So anytime you might need a refresher about what that set of eclipses is really regarding and the dates and degrees that you might want to pay attention to, you can always go back to the website and watch that particular video. Now, what I've been telling folks as we move through eclipse season is that if you can, hold off making important decisions until after the eclipses have run their course. And now what's important to know is that for most people, the eclipses will have run their course by now. Some folks may still be waiting to kind of hear what news the eclipse has to deliver, and that's fine. If you can be patient, continue to be patient. The reason why I said that is because eclipses are seasons of change. It's a period of flux. And so you want to leave plenty of room for the situation to change, for any new information to come to light that the eclipse might have to bring you before you commit to a particular course of action or before you commit to a decision. A caveat I want to add to that is that right now you may want to continue to wait at least for a few more days until Mercury stations direct and until you've given the 31st a little bit of room to play out. Not that there's necessarily eclipse worries that you might need to be concerned about in the coming days. It's just we're coming up on the end of Mercury's retrograde. When he stations, he's particularly powerful, particularly influential, and particularly erratic. And so you may want to factor that in as you're making plans, okay? But that's just, like I said, through the 31st. I would maybe give the first time to play through before you make any real plans regarding Mercury ruled activities. Okay, we've got the sun right now in Sidereal Cancer through August 18th. This is really kind of a time when we might be more focused on things that bring emotional security, right? What makes us feel comfortable and secure and safe, but in a way that brings us to emotional peace rather than like worry or concern, anxiety or sadness or anger, those sorts of things. So focus on what will draw you to that place of emotional security, that place of peace, and try to give yourself some more of that, right? It's a good opportunity to do that. We've got Mercury, like I was saying, in Gemini retrograde. So he went back into Gemini on the 27th. So just 2 days ago, he'll stay in Gemini through August 5th. So for 5 full days after he stations direct, he's going to be backing out of Gemini and heading back towards Cancer. So focus, like I was saying, on anything that needs corrected or finished up from the latter half, say, of June. Those things may be coming up for you in this 10-day window. And just keep in mind that once you've made whatever necessary corrections there are, those projects or whatever it is that you have going on that you're kind of revising right now could experience a complete turnaround by the time Mercury goes direct on the 31st. Okay. Mars currently in Cancer. This was very helpful to have with Mercury retrograde in Cancer at the same time, because Mercury retrograde is really an opportunity to be redoing things, taking another look at what you've been doing, what's working, what's not working, and looking at where you need to course correct, right? With Mars in the same sign, that supports us in giving us the energy and the vitality that we need to be able to do that effectively, to do it well. One thing I will call out again, I mentioned this in past broadcasts, Mars in Cancer means that our energy levels can really fluctuate quite a bit. Cancer, of course, is ruled by the moon. The moon is a very vacillating kind of energy, and so just be cognizant of that. You might feel your energy levels kind of wax and wane in the same way that the moon does while we have Mars in Cancer, and just take care of yourself. Be prepared to give yourself plenty of opportunity to rest, and when you feel your energy is high, get as much done as you can during those times. And we also have Venus in Cancer right now through August 17th. Let's talk a little bit about what's coming up. So we have the new moon in Cancer with Mercury stationing direct right at the end of July on the 31st. This is our third and final lunation of the month, a rather busy month. We don't normally have 2 new moons or even 2 full moons in a month, but that makes this a black moon in Cancer, being the second new moon in a month. Now, this particular new moon looks to be unpredictable in several ways. So I want you to keep that in mind as you're planning the intentions you'd like to set for this particular new moon. I'm going to go into how it's going to be unpredictable here. So we have Mercury stationing direct the same day. That's going to throw a degree of Mercury's erratic behavior into the mix. So keep that in mind. He's stationing direct opposite Pluto in Sagittarius, and that's going to bring in Pluto's transformative influence. That's going to bring it to bear on Mercury's activity. So for anyone who's using Mercury retrograde to revise or rework past efforts, the changes that you make now could really be starting to show the signs of bearing fruit as we move through the new moon, because we have Pluto helping to bring in that transformative effect as a result of the changes that you've made. Okay, now on top of that, on top of Mercury stationing, on top of him stationing opposite Pluto, this new moon squares the planet Uranus, the planet of surprises and sudden events, right? And this is even more significant with the moon ruling this lunation from her home sign of Cancer. So you're going to kind of want to watch. The new moon is also going to reactivate the July 2nd eclipse degree. So for anyone who's affected by the July 2nd eclipse in, I believe, Gemini, the first one was in Gemini. So you're going to want to watch the 31st of August or of July, and you're going to want to watch August 2nd as days that eclipse news potentially arrives, or the days around that. But I would say those 2 dates in particular, you want to mark in your planner or on your calendar. And this is particularly true if you have a planet or personal point at 15 or 16 degrees of an air or fire sign. Okay. But really, all told, what this spells out is a kind of unpredictable new moon, with Mercury being right at his station point, with the new moon itself being square Uranus from Cancer, and the moon ruling Cancer. Emotional volatility could really be part of the picture. We've got Venus widely conjunct the moon and square Uranus herself. So that brings in this really kind of fun possibility for unexpected pleasure and delight. Like if you can do something spontaneous with this new moon, something enjoyable, do it, especially if it's fun. If you get an invitation to do something that sounds fun kind of out of the blue, or an opportunity comes up, I'd say jump on it, because you might be pleasantly surprised at how much you enjoy yourself. And then the final thing I want to bring up regarding this particular new moon is that any initiations that you make in the days after this new moon could be truly visionary and bring radical and cutting edge results. And I think that's really, really exciting. The main thing is you may want to give the new moon itself a few days to reveal her surprises, right? And for Mercury to settle down before you take that first concrete action. But I'm really excited about what we're going to be exploring with the new moon intention setting coming up tomorrow in the Sidereal Insights Astrology Facebook group. So be sure and join us there. If you're not already a member, request your access, and you can join us live tomorrow night for the intention setting for that new moon. August, let's talk a little bit about early August. So August, starting, of course, right on the heels of the new moon, right as Mercury returns to direct motion. This month is going to also bring several sign changes for some of the faster moving personal planets, and that's going to have the effect of shifting the focus of our collective attention, shifting the focus of our consideration, shifting what we're putting our energy into, and it's going to shift our priorities as the month of August progresses. Early on in August, in the first half, we have Jupiter, which is the planet of growth and expansion, returning to direct motion just after Mercury does. And like I was saying, these are the two planets that rule over mental activities like thinking and learning and reasoning and communication. They're both going to be returning to normal orbit right around the same time frame, which is going to help bring progress a lot more easily. It's going to lead to less need for the rehashing of details or correcting errors of judgment or clarifying miscommunications or misunderstandings. So things will be able to move forward. They'll be able to move forward a lot more smoothly because we'll be able to better make sense of things, and we'll make better, more clarified decisions as a result. Now, at the same time, Uranus, like we said, the planet of surprises and sudden events, is going to begin his retrograde. So the day that Jupiter stations direct, Uranus stations retrograde in Aries, which is the sign, of course, of exploration, forging new paths into new territory. Uranus is known for granting insights and eureka moments, right? And so while he's retrograde in the sign of the self, those insights could be shockingly personal in nature. So keep that in mind. And Uranus will be retrograde through, I think, the 11th of January is when he stations direct again. So through the end of the year and into the new year. But this is a wonderful window of opportunity for inner exploration of our own behavior. It may turn up some surprising realizations, or revelations even, around extremes of like selflessness versus selfishness, from August 11th, like I said, through early January, which is kind of neat because early January, right after the new year, is very much a traditional time for turning over a new leaf, especially in terms of our behavior or our, what we want to do to achieve our goals. So in this window between now and early next year, look for ways to reinvent yourself in the house that Aries occupies in your sidereal natal chart. And thank you for joining me for the broadcast. You'll want to catch coming up the August overview and show reports is going to be on the website very soon. I'll post that to the Mystic Physick Astrology Facebook page, and I'll let you know by email as soon as that is published. Join me tomorrow, like I was saying, for our guided new moon intention setting practice for the new moon in sidereal Cancer in the Mystic Physick Astrology. The community that we have here on Facebook is called Sidereal Insights Astrology. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And when you subscribe, if you want to get notified whenever a broadcast gets posted, you'll want to click on that little notification bell icon, and that way you'll be alerted whenever we post a new video to the channel. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see you again next time.